د لوی او بخونکي چښتن په نامه نن ماته د ویاړ ځای ده چې د امریکې د دفاع چارو وزارت جناب هیگل صاحب ته ښه راغلاست وایم. موږ حداقل 2 لسیزې کېږو چې یو بل پېژنو. دوی د خپل سناتوري وخت کې افغانستان ته علاقه درلوده. لومړی وار 2002 کې تشریف راوړ او له هغه ورځ نه همیشه راغلي دي. ما ته خاصا دا ویاړو چې د اتلانتیک کونسل په وخت کې چې وخت چې دوی د هغه مشر و، زه د مشاورتي بورډ غړی وم، نو دوی مې او د دوی نظریات مې له نږدې نه لیدلي دي او ورسره اشنا یو. او له ورځ نه چې دوی دا ډېره مهمه وظیفه د وزارت دفاع په غاړه نیولې، دوی د افکارو تاثیر هر اړخیز و. بحث امروز ما سر چند نکته عمده تمرکز داشت. اول آمدن از اینا در یک فرصت است که مناسبات ایالات متحده امریکا و افغانستان 25 روز بعد به صورت اساسی تغییر میکنه. استعمال قوه در افغانستان در چارچوب قطعنامه ملل متحد که در 2001 شروع شده بود در روز 31 دسامبر به انجام میرسه. از اول جنوری 2015 قوای امنیتی افغانستان مسئولیت همه‌جانبه حفاظت وطن عزیز به دوش میگیرن و ای پس جز افتخارات ماست. اما در عین حال در اول جنوری مناسبات نو با ایالات متحده امریکا به اساس پیمان استراتژیک و موافقه امنیتی که پارلمان افغانستان هفته پیشتر با اکثریت آرا ایره تصویب کرد انجام میشه و ما درباره تقویه، تعلیم و ممد بودن همه جانبه و تمویل قوای امنیتی ما امروز از اینا صحبت داشتیم و از ابتکار از اینا و از تقویه از اینا که هم در کنفرانس بروسل در مقر ناتو انجام دادن و امروز اینا شخصا اطمینان دادن، ابراز اطمینان میکنم. موضوع دوم ما ضرورت صلح، ثبات و کوشش همه جانبه بر ثبات منطقوی بود و همه ما به این نظر هستیم که خطرات از یک طرف و فرصت ها از طرف دیگه ایجاب همکاری همه جانبه منطقوی و دنیایی رو میکنه. دنیا با خطرات مشترک مواجه است و ما مصمم هستیم که از این خطرات جلوگیری شود و از فرصت هایی که با ختم انتخابات و تشکیل حکومت وحدت ملی با وجود آمده استفاده اعظمی شود تا یک افغانستان که در صلح است، به ثبات رسیده و به طرف رفاه میره ایجاد شود و از کمک های از اینا در این بخش بازم ابراز امتنان میکنم. صلح یکی از اولویت های بنیادی جامعه ماست. موږ په دې باندې ټینګ ولاړ یو چې باید هر اړخیزې سولې ته ورسیږو. د سولې نقشې دپاره ملي، منطقوي او بین المللي شرایط باید آماده سي او دا منسجم او هر اړخیز فکر او کار غواړي او موږ غواړو دا په تدبیر، تعامل او دقت سره انشاءالله تعالی تر سره ورسو. زه غواړم بیا هم ښاغلي هیګل ته ښه راغلاست ووایم. تاسې د افغانستان دوست یې، تاسې ما شخصي ملګري او همیشه به دلته ښه راغلاست او تاسې له ډېرې ښه نظریات نه او اتاسي لبينملي شخصيتنا مهمشة هركليكو خيرغلسن.
President Ghani, thank you. It is a privilege to be here with you and renew a friendship, as you have noted, that goes back many years. And I am particularly pleased that I am able to personally congratulate you on your new responsibilities. I also want to note that Dr. Abdullah, the CEO of the new Unity government, is an old friend, and I appreciated very much an opportunity to see him again and congratulate him as well. I would like to make a brief comment at the front end of this press conference with President Ghani, and that is to address the murder of an American citizen, Luke Summers. I released a statement a couple of hours ago about Mr. Summers' death. He was murdered during an attempt by American forces to rescue him from terrorist groups in Yemen. Our hearts are full of sorrow tonight. Our prayers and thoughts go out to the Summers family. There was also another hostage who was also killed in that attempted rescue, and our prayers and thoughts go out to all the families involved. I do think, though, that this is further evidence of America's continued commitment to always find its American hostages, no matter where they are, and make every effort to get those hostages returned to the United States. This mission, which there will be more detail forthcoming, was extremely well executed. It was a very dangerous and complicated mission, but like always in these efforts, there's risk. And again, I wanted to begin my comments today by noting the murder of Luke Summers, and again to his family and the families involved. Our thoughts and our prayers go out to all of them. I want to go back to the partnership, the friendship, the relationship between Afghanistan and the United States. And I noted in my opening comment the unity government that President Ghani and CEO Dr. Abdullah are leading, and their commitment to that unity government for the people of Afghanistan. And it's a effort, a unity government, that the United States strongly supports. And I want to also note, Mr. President, and commend both you and Dr. Abdullah for putting the interests of your country first. As the people of Afghanistan have hope, challenges ahead, as you have noted. We all recognize that. But what happened this year, a few months ago, the historic, peaceful transfer of power was quite significant. And that deserves not only recognition, but also acknowledgement for the people of Afghanistan, who refused to be intimidated and turned out and took active participation in a electoral process that produced a new government. I also want to thank the United States efforts and all here and who helped in that process over the last few months. And I particularly want to welcome our new American ambassador to Afghanistan. He's not exactly new, but he is the new U.S. ambassador, Ambassador McKinley, who I think just came in this morning. And also acknowledge once again General Campbell and his team, and of course our ISAF partners who have been so critical, will remain critical to the future of Afghanistan. And I want to note and thank the outgoing, retiring U.S. Ambassador to Afghanistan, Ambassador Cunningham, who has played a very, very important role in this process over the last 3 years for his service to his country, and in particular his service to strengthening this special partnership between our two countries. We thank Ambassador Cunningham and his family and wish them well. And I want to thank all of our men and women in uniform and those who are here in civilian capacities for what they continue to do. And I want to note especially during this time of holidays approaching, their sacrifices are particularly important because they will be away from their families. And to their families and to all of them, please know that President Obama, all of America, appreciates your sacrifice and your service. Reflecting a bit on what President Ghani noted in my statement about our friendship as well, I would note that I first visited this country as my first country that I visited after I was sworn in as Secretary of Defense. This is my fourth trip to Afghanistan as Secretary of Defense. But even before that, I traveled to Afghanistan many times as a United States Senator. In fact, my first trip was in January of 2002. So I have seen firsthand over many years of visits to this country the enormous progress that this country has made in its development, in its democracy, in its possibilities and hope for all its people. And that, I think, is further testimony to the strong partnership of our two countries. As the President said this afternoon, I had the opportunity to spend some time with the President, Chief Executive Officer, and as President Ghani noted, I had the opportunity to discuss that progress, as well as the transition to a new chapter in America's partnership with Afghanistan. And I think, again, when we go back to last summer and the electoral process, it's important to review that because since the summer of last year, Afghan forces have been in the lead in defending their citizens and their country. And as we saw during Afghanistan's elections this summer, Afghan forces have made tremendous strides in protecting the interest and the citizens of this country. Still more to do, still challenges ahead. But at the end of this month, ISAF's combat mission will come to an end, as everyone knows. NATO coalition forces will transition to the new Resolute Support mission, training, advising, and assisting Afghan forces as they assume full responsibility for their own nation's security. The coalition's new mission has the support of the Afghan people, which will be critical for its success. Last month, thanks to the leadership of President Ghani and Dr. Abdullah, the Afghan Parliament overwhelmingly approved the U.S.-Afghanistan Bilateral Security Agreement and the NATO Status of Forces Agreement. However, because of prior delays in signing these agreements, the force generation effort for resolute support is several months behind. It's behind where we hoped it would be at this time. As a result, President Obama has provided U.S. military commanders the flexibility to manage any temporary force shortfalls that we might experience for a few months as we allow for coalition troops to arrive in theater. This will mean a delayed withdrawal of up to 1,000 U.S. troops, so that up to 10,800 troops, rather than 9,800, could remain in Afghanistan through the end of this year and for the first few months next year. But the President's authorization will not change. It will not change our troops' missions or the long-term timeline for our withdrawal. As planned, resolute support will focus here in Kabul and Bagram, with a limited regional presence. As part of this mission, the United States is prepared to provide limited combat enabler support to Afghan forces, and American personnel will always have the right and the capacity to defend themselves against attacks. We will maintain a limited counterterrorism mission against al-Qaeda and its remnants, because as we draw down the combat mission, we have not forgotten what brought America to Afghanistan over a decade ago. We're committed to preventing al-Qaeda from using Afghanistan as a safe haven to threaten the United States, our allies and partners, and the Afghan people. And we will take appropriate measures against Taliban members who directly threaten U.S. and coalition forces in Afghanistan or provide direct support to al-Qaeda. This afternoon, President Ghani, Dr. Abdullah, and I also discussed the important commitments made by coalition nations at this week's conferences in Brussels and London. Between 2012 and 2015, the United States will have provided more than $8 billion in civilian assistance, and our commitment will be enduring. The recent wave of Taliban attacks has made clear that the international community must not waver in its support for a stable, secure, and prosperous Afghanistan. I want to again thank my friend President Ghani, my friend Chief Executive Abdullah, for their leadership and their commitment to this partnership. And I want to recognize the tremendous service and sacrifices of not only our U.S. troops, but coalition troops and our partners in the Afghan National Security Forces. Their commitment has forged a defining moment of opportunity for Afghanistan's future and for the people of Afghanistan. Thank you very much.
Yes.